over 1,000 yards this season. That is quite an accomplishment.
Well, obviously they have a very, very strong and very potent ground game. And the thing that worries you when you have that many players, you have a number of ways you can attack, and this is something that we'll be very curious to see how this team plays today and how indeed they do go about attacking this Pirate team, because as you say, they seem to be loaded with great running backs who are capable of doing a lot of things. So it'll be a challenge today for Stratford, and we'll see the Tigers will have their hands full, but we're happy to be here to follow them, and I know they'll make a very good accounting of themselves, and I would assume that the town is just hanging on every breath here, as anybody who isn't here, I should say, the whole town may be here for all we know, but I know everybody back home is really looking forward to this as we are.
And of course, fans not only in Stratford, but throughout central Wisconsin rooting on the Tigers today, and here comes the opening kick. Well, they looked like they were going to kick the ball off, and the wind blew the ball off the tee, so we're set once again. Jeff Colbeck back deep for the Tigers to receive this kick, along with Mark Krause and Corey Hay. And here comes the opening kickoff of today's contest. It's a low line drive towards the near sideline, picked up by Hay at the 15-yard line to the 20. He has a seam. He's at the 30-yard line and dumped right there. And so the Stratford Tigers will begin their first possession right near their own 30-yard line. They'll be moving from left to right offensively. Now the DeSoto Pirates will run a standard 4-3 defense. Nothing too fancy from these guys. It's 1st and 10 Stratford. The referees put the ball officially on the 29-yard line. And we'll see what the Tigers come out with. They're going to split a man wide to the far side. That is John Schmidt. And Robin Kaiser opens in the slot. So it's a slot left formation, 2 setbacks. And the handoff goes to Colbeck straight ahead, and there's nothing there. He stood up by the interior defensive line. That charge led by defensive end Glenn Krummeyer. And it looks like Jeff lost a yard on that play. They'll spot the ball on the 28. It's 2nd and 11 for the Tigers.
Well, it was a good charge coming right out of the gate by DeSoto, and of course we look for Colbeck to carry the ball quite a bit, and then this obviously they're aware of that too, that he's one of their bread and butter guys.
He is the man.
They'll be king on him.
He's ran for 850 yards coming into this contest. On 2nd and 11, 2 tight ends, a wing to the near side, and Schwabe rolls far side, wants to throw, fires far side for John Schmidt, and the ball is batted down at the 40-yard line. It's incomplete. It looked like Schmidt was open momentarily. However, he was well defended by defensive back Corey Hammond, and consequently the pass goes incomplete.
Good pass coverage. You know, that ball kind of wobbled a little bit, Gene, when Schwabe threw it. It seemed to be in the teeth of a not all that strong a wind. You know, well, now the wind gusts had picked up a little bit coming out of the west.
And the Tigers are going against that wind. They come out in a wing right formation on 3rd down. Schwabe rolls out far side. He'll keep the ball. Gets outside across the 30-yard line. Looks like he wants to pitch, but he'll be stopped around the 35. That play slow in developing. It looked like he wanted to pitch back to Jeff Colbeck, but could not do so. And so Jody gains about 6 yards. They'll put the ball on the 34-yard line, but he is 4 yards shy of the first down, and the Tigers in their first punting situation of the day. It is 4th down and about 4 to go. And that means Dan Drexler is back to kick the ball away. And Doug Strasser and Dave Tully back to receive this kick from Drexler. Good snap, and Dan kicks it away. A low line drive into that wind. It'll roll inside the 40, inside the 35-yard line, bounce back to the 35, and the Tigers will cover right there. And that was a 30-yard kick into the wind by Dan Drexler.
Well, 1st and 10, we'll get a look at this DeSoto offense now and see how they go to work. As you say, Gene, they have 4,000-yard rushers. It's hard to believe a team could generate that much offense anyway, but as you know, they've been really pouring it on this year.
And they line up quickly. The quarterback is Doug Strasser, and they line up in a wishbone set. Tigers in their 5-2 defense, 5-2 monster. 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line, and the handoff goes straight ahead. And the running back, Corey Hammond, gets about 2 yards into the center of the line. And newsman carries it up right there to make the stop, along with Mike Bright and Ollie Schmidt also helping out on that tackle.
Well, they went straight ahead. And they went from the deep back position. Now, one of the keys of this wishbone set, I'll tell you about it in a moment. They're coming up and they're ready to go here. They call it a quick play.
A no-huddle situation. Again, a wishbone backfield behind Strasser on 2nd and 6 at the 39. And this time it is Hammond, Corey Hammond again. He crosses the 40-yard line, stops around the 43, and right there is Ollie Schmidt once again to make that tackle with help from Greg Shanefoos. Now the ball's on the 43. It is 3rd and 2, and once again DeSoto going without a huddle. 3rd and 2 for DeSoto at their own 43.
And he's calling a play at the line of scrimmage, Gene.
Doug Strasser, the senior quarterback, he will keep the ball himself, head upfield, crosses the 45, across midfield, down the near sideline to the Stratford 40, the 30, cuts back at the 20-yard line, taken down from behind around the 15-yard line. A touchdown-saving tackle by Gary Zilke, and that's the one thing that Stratford coach Tom Knopf was worried about, letting that quarterback get outside on the triple option. And Doug Strasser carries the ball all the way down to the 15-yard line, and that'll be a gain of 42 yards.
I was just going to say that, Gene. A tremendous gain, 42 yards already in 3 carries. DeSoto has 50 yards net from scrimmage. Now you can see how they have 4,000-yard rushers.
And Stratford coach Tom Knopf has called a quick timeout to settle down his defense. With 9:13 remaining in the first period, Stratford and DeSoto are scoreless. We'll come back to Madison after this. DeSoto with the first threat of the day, 1st and 10 for the Pirates at the Stratford 15-yard line. Early in the first period, no score. The quarterback is Doug Strasser. He gives the ball to his fullback, Venner, who is met at the line of scrimmage by Ollie Schmidt and dumped for no gain. That time, Ollie Schmidt really rose to the occasion.
Tremendous defensive charge, Gene. He just broke across the line of scrimmage, and there was no stopping him. He was very impressive there. They're coming up again with a no-huddle type situation. Really looks like a 2-minute offensive drill that they have.
Sure does.
And they have a wide out to the near side.
That's Paul Cabot, wishbone backfield behind Strasser on 2nd and 10. He will give the ball to Tully, who is caught from behind. He pops up the football. It's loose around the 5-yard line, and the Tigers have recovered. Tully fumbled the football as he went through the line of scrimmage, and Darren Sirianni fell on it at the 5-yard line, so we have our first turnover of the day.
Well, that was a tremendous break, and the defense really came up with a big play, and that's precisely what they needed.
Looked like DeSoto on the verge of putting the ball in the end zone, but the Tigers come away with the fumble. Mike Bright was tackling Tully from behind on that play. The ball popped loose, and Sirianni falls on it at the Stratford 5. 1st and 10 Tigers from deep in their own territory. On 1st down, the handoff to Jeff Colbeck off tackle for about 3. He hit the 7 or 8 yard line by linebacker Greg Tully on the outside. So Colbeck gets about 2. They'll spot the ball on the 7-yard line, and it's 2nd and 8. Boy, this DeSoto team with that quick offense, Bill, they don't let you really catch your breath, do they?
They do, and I don't know if they have used that all year, Gene, but I think that's probably something that they saved. You know, you pull out all your best stuff in a game like this, and it does confuse the defense. They have to communicate much more quickly.
Todd Colbeck in the ball game, a wing to the near side. He goes in motion. It's a counter handoff to Kaiser across the 10-yard line. Off and is stopped right there. He runs into linebacker Paul Cabot and defensive tackle Bart Jamboyce. And so Kaiser brings the ball out to the 11-yard line, and the Tigers are now faced with a 3rd down situation. It's 3rd and 4. Do remember, if the Tigers have to kick, they would be punting against a very strong wind.
Crossbark played that last time, Gene. A little bit slow forming. I think Kaiser was just a little bit deep when he got that ball.
Kaiser, the wing on the far side, 2 tight ends on 3rd and 4. And the handoff to Dahl, trying to sweep the far side. Good block from Drexler, but can't get outside and is stopped at the line of scrimmage. So Drexler leading the way on the sweep, and he got the lead man, but those other 4 guys Dan was not able to take down. And so that play goes for no yardage, and the Tigers in a punting situation on 4th and 4 at their own 11.
DeSoto showing a lot of confidence, chose the wind here apparently in the first quarter, Gene, and it's been a benefit for them. They are getting the ball back now.
And Drexler will have to punt into the wind. Tully and Hammond back to accept this kick for DeSoto. And the punt by Drexler, a low line drive down the far sideline, rolls across the 35-yard line and skips out of bounds at the 38. 37-yard line, they'll spot that. That's a 26-yard punt. And so DeSoto has very good field position. 1st and 10 for the Pirates at the Stratford 37-yard line. 6.5 remaining first quarter. There is no score, and right away, here comes DeSoto out without a huddle, lining up in their wishbone formation. The quarterback, senior Doug Strasser. Tigers now have 3 down linemen, 2 stand-up ends. Strasser gives to his fullback Venner, who is hit at the 35 and falls forward to the 34. Once again, Ollie Schmidt in there on the tackle with help from Paul Whirl and Dan Drexler.
Well, those who have seen the wishbone before, I've seen it a lot. Northern Illinois runs it. That was the give to the dive man. That's the first option on the wishbone, the first of three options that they have.
It's 2nd and 7 for DeSoto at the Stratford 34. Once again, here's a pitch back to Hammond sweeping the far side, but he's met along the far sideline and stopped shy at the 30. He ran right into Dennis Dahl at the 32-yard line. And that play only gains about 2 yards.
Yeah, they handled the sweep pretty well that time. They did use the pitch. That's the second option. They have the pitcher sweep option that they can use. A timeout is going to be taken momentarily for a shoulder pad adjustment.
Yes, the quarterback, Doug Strasser, has an equipment problem, so the referees look at that, and that gives the Stratford defense a chance to catch their breath because the DeSoto offense has not huddled yet today.
Yeah, that takes away the advantage of that no-huddle
offense. Now up they'll come. They have called their series of plays in advance, and then they have some checkoffs they can make here at the line of scrimmage.
The running backs, John Venner, Corey Hammond, and Dave Tully behind the quarterback Strasser. And on third down, he will give the ball to Tully. He finds a seam and crosses the 30-yard line, but he is stopped shy of the first down. There wasn't much running room there, but Tully, only being 5'5" and 135, he found the gap and carried the ball down to the 29-yard line, where it is 4th and 2 for DeSoto.
4-down territory.
Yes, it certainly is, and the Tiger defense bunches up on the line of scrimmage. They've got 8 guys on the line, and they are looking to stop this 4th and 2 play at their own 29. Strasser will give the ball to Tully again, and he's met by Dan Drexler at the 30-yard line and dropped for a loss.
Boy, what a hit. What a hit by Drexler. He just simply shot the gap and got through there, and of course you're only as good in any offense as your blocking is. Even though you get wider splits, you get a little bit wider splits with the veer and the wishbone type or option type offense. The splits are wider in the line usually, and he read that split beautifully and just shot through unblocked.
Big play by Dan Drexler. It stops the DeSoto drive and gives the Tigers the ball in better field position, their own 30. On first down, Schwabe will throw near side, looking for Mike White, but the ball is intercepted and then dropped. That ball was intercepted by a DeSoto defensive ball player. It was picked off actually by outside linebacker Paul Cabot. He took one step and got hit by Bright and coughed up the football, and the official right there ruled an incomplete pass.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they got a tremendous break on that, Gene. He did have it in his hands. That could have very well have been a fumble. It was very, very close to one, and it seemed to me as if and of course he had wide open spaces. That's the other part of it. He would have been gone to the end zone had not been covered better.
On 2nd and 10, Schwabe to throw up the Fire's far side, and he underthrows a receiver at the 45-yard line. That pass intended for Jeff Downey, who did an out pattern around the 45-yard line, and Schwabe underthrew him, and it looks like Jody is having some passing difficulties in the early part of this ball game.
Well, he's throwing in a very stiff wind. We estimate it to be somewhere in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range, and of course down there on the field inside that bowl, you've got that sweeping wind effect that you'll have, that swirling wind, and that ball seemed to bite. The wind just kind of drove it down a little bit.
It's a slot right formation for the Tigers on 3rd and 10. Bright, the wide out near side, and it's an inside handoff to Colbeck, who has running room, crosses the 35-yard line, and is dropped around the 37, about 3 yards shy of the first down. He's taken down by cornerback Larry Venner. Boy, there's more Venners on this team than you'd ever want to see.
A very venerable attack, I'd say they have.
That was an 8-yard gain for Colbeck, but unfortunately for the Tigers, it leaves them 2 yards shy of the first down. So it's 4th and 2 for Stratford at their own 38, and Dan Drexler is here to punt for the 3rd time today. Good snap back to Dan, and he boots it away. A low line drive down the center of the field, and it rolls beyond the DeSoto deep men inside the DeSoto 30-yard line, and it will be touched around the 27-yard line. That's a nice 35-yard punt for Dan Drexler, who was doing a commendable job against this wind.
He is. That ball, I tell you what, he's had good rolls on every kick, Gene. Not one has he really hit well, but his approach has been, with the swirling winds against him, is to keep the ball low, and that way they are getting good positive yardage out of it.
4 minutes to play, first period, no score. 1st and 10, DeSoto at their own 28-yard line. Again, the Pirates line up without a huddle, and a wishbone backfield behind the quarterback, Doug Strasser. Tigers really bunching up the line, and the quarterback Strasser keeps it, is met by Drexler, and dumped right along the 30-yard line.
Got a good 3-yard gain out of it. He took the tight end side. That's the strong side of the formation, and just went with it and got that 3 yards. That's tough to stop it when he makes that decision. Go ahead and dive inside.
Second and a long 7 for DeSoto, just across their own 30-yard line. Strasser gives the ball away, now pitches back, and the ball is taken by Hammond, who comes to the near sideline and is dumped at the 35-yard line.
Another good gain. That's about 5 or 6 more yards. We'll give him 6.
Strasser does an excellent faking job.
Boy, he does, and that was a strange way he did it. He shoveled that ball out there. A rather dangerous pitch, really. He waited until the last possible moment before committing, and that's the sign of a good quarterback in this offense.
And the Tigers looking again to make a big defensive play. 3rd and 3, DeSoto at their own 35-yard line. Strasser will hand to his fullback, Venner, who bursts across the 45-yard line for the first down. John Venner, the fullback, makes the big play for DeSoto and carries all the way out to the 49-yard line. He gains 14, more than enough for the DeSoto first down. 1st and 10 Pirates at their own 49. 2.5 remaining, first period, no score. DeSoto on the drive, 1st and 10 at their own 49-yard line. Now they shift to a one-back set with a wing to the far side, a slot on the near side. First time we've seen this. The handoff to the fullback, Venner, the only guy in the backfield, and he stood up at the 50-yard line and dropped by Dan Schmidt and Craig Shanefoos. That play only gains about 1, maybe 1.5.
You know what that really looked like, Gene, was kind of a real wide T, or a wide full house, if you will. In effect, it gave him some outside receiving power out of the wishbone.
It is 2nd and 8 for DeSoto, just across the 50-yard line. They go back to the wishbone set once again. Strasser will give the ball to Venner, and he's fighting for yardage, running over a couple of Stratford defenders. He brings the ball inside the 45-yard line, and Jody Schwabe and Dan Schmidt bring him down from behind at the 43. A very powerful run by fullback John Venner, 5'11", 190. And now a 3rd and about 1.5 for DeSoto at the Stratford 43.
Now they have some conversation, and we've had a Venner, apparently, his shoulder pad. I don't know where they got their shoulder pads, but they may want a factory refund after this game is over. That's another official's timeout to get a shoulder pad repaired.
All right, another big defensive play for the Tigers. We can see that Dan Drexler, the monster man, sneaking up on the line of scrimmage on 3rd and short yardage. And this time the handoff goes to Tully, who gets stopped up and dropped for a loss. And Tully hit again by Drexler, and Greg Shanefoos right there. You could see Drexler was looking at that hole straight ahead, and he lined up and filled that gap, and he drops the ball carrier for a yard loss back at the 44. DeSoto has a 4th down situation here, 4th and 3, and it looks like they'll go for it on the Stratford 44-yard line. 45 seconds left in the quarter. Again, they line up in that wishbone attack. Doug Strasser, the quarterback, and he wants a timeout. I think he may have tried to draw Stratford across that line, and they may be taking a timeout to set up a punt play now. 40 seconds remaining in the first quarter. We still have no score, and we will come back. Well, we won't come back. I don't think we're going to take a break, because it looks like Bruce Meyer is coming in right now. And the Stratford water boy is also on the field. Coach Knopf says, hey, he took a timeout. I want my 60 seconds. So there is timeout on the field with Stratford and DeSoto scoreless. Let's pause for this message. Bruce Meyer to kick for DeSoto from inside his own 45-yard line on 4th and 3. Gets a good snap and punts the ball away. A high kick down the center of the field, bounces inside the 15-yard line, and grabbed by Dennis Dahl at the 12. He's going down the far sideline to the 20, sidesteps him into the 25, another one at the 30-yard line, and spun down at the Tiger 35. A 39-yard punt by Bruce Meyer, and an excellent return by Dennis Dahl, who brings the ball all the way out to the Tiger 34-yard line.
Well, and that means, Gene, they'll be able to set up shop for the second quarter now, because I think the wind is going to be a strong factor in this game, and we have 25 seconds left in the first quarter, and Stratford really has done a great job. They've had their defense do it. Their defense has really stopped this DeSoto team on the big plays.
That Stratford defense, a vaunted one, and they have risen to the occasion in this first quarter. Tigers in a wing right formation. Schwabe will give the ball to Kaiser, but we have our first flags of the day as that play develops. And we'll see what this call is. The flags flew as the snap was made. It is illegal procedure against the Tigers, and the ball will be brought back to the Stratford 29-yard line. Only 9 seconds remaining in the first quarter, so this could very well be the final play of the period.
Yeah, they may just take one whack at it here and see what they can do, maybe get the ball toward the center of the field a little bit. I don't know. It'll be interesting, though, when they do get the wind to see, since they have time to throw a little bit into the wind, maybe this will loosen up their running game when they change ends.
All right, 1st and 15. The clock is moving, so they won't get this play off. The first quarter will come to a conclusion here at Camp Randall Stadium. Our score, Stratford 0, DeSoto 0. Back with more of this Division V state final after this. Back at Camp Randall Stadium with Bill Hazen, I'm Gene DeLisio. Second quarter beginning in this WIAA Division V final. No score between the Stratford Tigers and DeSoto Pirates. 1st and 15 Tigers at their own 29. Jody Schwabe will fire deep down the middle. He has a receiver. Dennis Dahl open at the 40, the 30, the 20-yard line, the 10, the 5, and he scores for Stratford.
71 yards.
71-yard touchdown pass from Jody Schwabe to Dennis Dahl, and the Tigers lead 6-0. And the Tiger ball players all running down into the far end zone, the end zone to our left, to congratulate Dennis Dahl for making that reception. But boy, as soon as Jody Schwabe got the wind at his back, he threw a terrific football.
Yeah, they changed their attack right away, didn't they? It didn't take long either, I'll tell you that. Bang, bang. It was a beautifully thrown spiral, nice tight spiral right down the middle of the field. And Dahl just turned on the afterburners, and suddenly he was open deep in that secondary. Once he caught it, you knew he was gone.
And the Stratford fans on the far sideline, very jubilant. Here's Darryl Schrader to attempt the extra point. Todd Colbeck to hold. There's some interior line movement. Some DeSoto players anticipating a block may have charged in there, and we have offside against DeSoto. So this may change the Tigers' strategy. They may decide to go for 2 from the 1.5-yard line, and Schrader is leaving. So it appears the Tigers will go for the 2-point conversion. That is, by the way, a one-play, 71-yard drive for the Tigers. On the first play of the second period, 71-yard pass play from Jody Schwabe to Dennis Dahl. The Tigers striking very, very quickly. And now they come out in a wing right formation. The Tigers are trying the 2-point conversion. The quarterback, Jody Schwabe. He'll give the ball to Colbeck, off tackle, hit by 2 men, and dumped shy of the goal line. So the 2-point conversion attempt is not successful. 11:51 remaining in the first half. Our score is now Stratford 6 and DeSoto 0. And we'll come back to Camp Randall in just a moment. Well, the Stratford Tigers come up with the first big play of the day, a 71-yard scoring pass between Jody Schwabe and Dennis Dahl, and the Tigers have an early 6-0 lead.
Strange how quickly here we saw DeSoto just piling up yardage and yardage and yardage, and then here you see Stratford on the board.
The kick by Darryl Schrader with the wind will roll through the end zone. A great kick by Darryl Schrader, kicking with a very gusty wind here in Madison. And so DeSoto will begin their next drive on their own 20-yard line. And now the Pirates are moving against the wind, and they're moving on offense from left to right. Once again, they come out without a huddle. They did not try a pass in the first quarter, so the wind was not much of a factor for them in the first part of this ball game. Wishbone attack behind quarterback Doug Strasser. He will keep the ball on the option, gets away from Shane Foose, but he's wrapped up by Schwabe and by Drexler as he crosses the 20, gets about 3 yards. One thing Tom Knopf does not want to see is linebackers and defensive backs making tackles on that option. He wants his defensive end to wrap up the quarterback on that play.
And that's the key man on the field today. This offense puts tremendous pressure on the defensive end not to buy the fake. He has to read it correctly every time.
2nd and 7, DeSoto at their own 23. And here's the handoff to the first man. No, it's Strasser coming near side on the keep. He gets across the 25 and right to the 30-yard line, dropped there by Schwabe. Boy, he puts that football in Venner's midsection, then pulls it out at the last moment. And you can understand why some Tiger defenders are buying that fake.
Well, exactly, and that's ideally the way it should be. He holds it in the belly of the receiver until he reads what the defensive end is doing.
And that is a first down for DeSoto, right on the 30-yard line, their fourth of the morning. Early second period, Stratford leads this championship game 6-0. Again from the wishbone. Strasser gives the ball to Venner straight ahead for about one, met there by Drexler, Paul Whirl, and Jody Schwabe. That time the fullback, and Ollie Schmidt, who's laying underneath all those guys.
Yeah, and that's the play they have to stop, Gene, and that's the play they did not stop as effectively in the first quarter. Here they had a good charge, and they stopped that dive play for a gain of 1.
Ball is on the 31.5, 32-yard line, second and a long 8. Tigers really bunching the defensive line. 8 guys within 3 yards of the defensive line. And it's Venner again to the 35, spins away for one more. The tackle will go to Gary Zilke, the nose man. He's the guy who's going to really take on that fullback in this situation.
They're over 100 yards rushing offense already in this game, and we're just very early in the second quarter.
Ball is just across the 35-yard line. It is now third and about 5 for DeSoto. They come out once again in that wishbone with Cabot split to the near side. And this time the option to the near side, and Strasser keeps himself, crosses the 40, dives to the 45, coughed up the ball, but Strasser was down. The ball was recovered by a DeSoto player anyway. So gives Strasser yardage out to near the 45, and it is another DeSoto first down.
That was a pretty good play. When he hit the turf, the ball was fumbled loose, and of course, as we know, the turf cannot cause a fumble.
9:40 remaining first half. Stratford on top 6-0, and here comes the official running in. And a timeout has been charged to the Stratford Tigers. They will right here take their second timeout of the first half. With 9:37 remaining in the second quarter, Stratford leads DeSoto 6-0. We'll return to Madison following this message. We're at Camp Randall Stadium today for the WIAA Division V championship game with Bill Hazen. I'm Gene DeLisio. 9:37 remaining in the first half, and the Stratford Tigers out in front in this championship contest, 6-0, trying to bring the Merriwood their second ever football championship. Edgar won the state championship in Division IV back in 1979 for Coach Jerry Sins. Here's a first down play for DeSoto, 1st and 10 at their own 44-yard line from the wishbone formation. Quarterback Doug Strasser will give the ball off to Corey Hammond, one of his running backs, and he stopped right on the 45. Only about 1 yard. Ollie Schmidt and Greg Shanefoos combined on the tackle for a 1-yard gain.
Having the wind against them does not bother this team that much, Gene, because they've had 20 offensive plays and they've all been on the ground.
It is now 2nd and 9 for DeSoto at their own 45. Tigers doing some shifting. Drexler will pick up Cabot, the split receiver, to the far side. Again, they'll run that wishbone formation. And Strasser keeps the ball, cuts back at the 45, and is dumped right there, nailed by Schwabe and Shanefoos. And that time, the defensive end on the right side, Greg Shanefoos, played that play perfectly. He did the job and forced the quarterback Strasser to cut back where Schwabe was waiting for him for a gain of about a half yard. 3rd and long now for DeSoto. Let's see what they try. 3rd and about 8 at their own 46-yard line. Let's see what the play is from Coach Bob Schultz. Strasser will keep the ball himself. He's hit by Bright in the backfield and jumped back at the 40-yard line. Well, now the Tiger defensive ends are playing that option the way Tom Knopf wants it played.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It was a great read, too, because as soon as he saw that he was keeping the ball, then he just immediately jumped across. Bright just jumped across, and he just waited for the play to come to him, which is the right way. Stay at home, let the play come to you.
Well, now it's 4th and 14, and Bruce Meyer has to punt against the wind for the first time today. He drives a line drive down the near sideline, bounces past Dennis Dahl inside the 20-yard line, and it will be down around the 18. It rolls another yard or so, and about 4 DeSoto ball players surround it and watch it dive right on the 18-yard line. That is a punt of 42 yards.
got a good roll on it, and both of these punters have gotten good rolls against the wind, and that's been a key factor. So field position, really, Stratford has not had great field position for the most part. They've been working pretty much with their backs to the wall, and of course that big 71-yard play really can change that in a hurry. That's what we saw.
That's the only score, the 71-yard pass from Jody Schwabe to Dennis Dahl. First and 10 Tigers on their own 17. Schwabe wants to throw again. He fires far sideline and had Dahl wide open, but overthrew him around the 25. Schwabe was being run heavily by defensive end Glenn Hermeyer, so had to get rid of the ball quickly. But Dahl was wide open along that far sideline. That touchdown pass, the only one he's completed today.
Indeed, 1 of 5. Gee, he's made the most of his reception, of his pass completions, I'll tell you that, because he threw 3 times in the first quarter, of course, against the wind, and he's thrown twice here now.
It's second and 10 Tigers at their own 17. Tigers come out with a slot right formation. Jeff Colbeck gets the call straight ahead for virtually nothing. Maybe 1 extra yard for Jeff, but he's surrounded by several players, once again led by that defensive end, Glenn Hermeyer.
Well, they haven't really gotten too much on the ground here, Gene. 18 yards total rushing to the moment for Stratford.
One thing to keep in mind, Bill, is last year in the Division 6 championship game, Division 5 rather, DeSoto lost to Manoa 14-6, even though they outgained Manoa about 150 yards to 65.
Yeah, that wishbone can be very deceiving.
Slot right formation on third and 10. Schwabe wants to throw for it. He fires over the middle, and Bright wide open at the 30-yard line makes the catch for the first down. He goes down at the 32. Mike Bright, who was split to the far side, a simple curl in. He was wide open on the 30-yard line, and Bright makes the reception for a big first down. 15-yard pass play for the Tigers.
And Bright received that ball like a good receiver should. He looked that ball perfectly into his hands. He did not look upfield until he was sure he had it. And this was because he had run far enough down the field that he knew he had the first down yardage, and that was really the key to the play.
6.5 remaining, first half. Tigers on top, 6-0. Wing right formation, and this time Jeff Colbeck trying to get outside, crosses the 35, dropped at the 36-yard line, gains maybe 1 on that play. Defensive tackle Bart Jamboyce on the tackle. Colbeck having a tough time running the football today after some big gains in playoff competition. Jeff has rushed for 272 yards in 2 games, but he's having tough luck today.
Well, but they have alternative weapons, and that's the thing. They have a good balanced attack. They have a confident quarterback, and he's throwing well in spots.
Second and 7 for the Tigers at their own 35. Again, that wing formation. This time Kaiser straight ahead. He rips off about 5 yards. Robin Kaiser, not too big, 5'5", 160, an all-conference honorable mention ball player in the Merriwood, but he goes straight ahead for 5, brings the ball out to the 40-yard line and creates a 3rd and 2. Robin has only ran for 21 yards in the 2 playoff games, but there's a big 5-yard carry for him.
Quick hitter, Gene. Came very, very quick play, right up the middle, right off the center. And they were able to get some yardage. And sometimes when you attack to the outside, then that middle opens up a little bit.
And now the Tigers looking at a 3rd and 2 from a wing right formation. Again, 2 tight ends. It's Colbeck straight ahead. He's near the first down marker, and he falls forward to across the 43-yard line, and he may have the first down. He does. A first down for the Tigers to keep this drive going.
First by rushing on the day, and you know that was a mighty good blocking play. There wasn't much there, but Colbeck, with the help of the guys in front of him, he just climbed over his own men, his own blockers up front to get the necessary yardage for the first down.
He went straight ahead behind center Paul Whirl, who was an all-conference player. Left guard Ollie Schmidt, he's all-conference. And the right guard, Dan Drexler, he's also very, very capable, and those 3 guys really cleared out some bodies.
Yeah, they did, especially Schmidt. I thought the left guard did a very nice job on that play. So they got a good opening and made the best of it.
5:05 remaining first half. Tigers on top, 6-0. It's a wing right formation with 2 tight ends, and Schwabe to throw the football. He rolls far side, fires deep over the middle, over everybody's head. Wright was at the 35-yard line. He had drawn double coverage. I'm not sure Mike was really open, and Schwabe may have thrown that ball away because he fired it over everybody's head.
Yeah, he could actually. Bright, although he was double covered, he had an inside look. He had an inside position there, and it was a play action fake. They had a play action going to try to get a little bit more pressure, and as it turned out, he just apparently did dump it away.
It's 2nd and 10 Tigers at their own 44. A slot right formation now. Right, the wide out on the far side. Schwabe wants to throw again. He looks, he's being rushed. He's going to run to the far sideline. Crosses the 40, now fires to an open receiver and hits him at the 40-yard line. That's Dennis Dahl, who came back freelancing to make the catch at the 40 for a big play, about a 16-yard gain and another Tiger first down.
Well, that is 4 first downs now. 3 of them have come via the passing route. Add another 16 to the offensive totals now, so you're looking at 98 yards through the air here in this first half.
Schwabe had to scamper around, finally found Dennis Dahl open at the DeSoto 40-yard line. 1st and 10 Tigers from there. Schwabe gives the ball to Colbeck. He has a seam straight ahead, but is tripped up as he goes through the line of scrimmage by middle linebacker John Venner, and he gains only about 2 yards on that carry. In fact, they're going to mark the ball back at the 39. They say his knee went down there, so it's only a 1-yard gain for Colbeck and a 2nd and 9 for the Tigers.
I like what I've seen. I think the key to this game to the moment, Gene, was the defensive effort by Stratford in the first quarter. Their defense really held them in when the going was tough, especially in a couple of big 3rd and 4th down plays.
2nd and 9 Tigers at the DeSoto 39. Schwabe to throw again. He fires deep over the middle for Bright. The ball is caught at the 20-yard line. Mike carries down to the 17 for another Stratford first down. There was a defensive ball player, Doug Strasser, who went for an interception, and he missed. Bright made the catch behind Strasser and then turned upfield, ran about 4 yards before he was finally stopped. But another big gainer for the Tiger throwing game. It's 1st and 10 for Stratford at the DeSoto 17-yard line. That play gains 22 more.
And that could have well been intercepted. I thought Strasser had it, to be honest with you.
It looked like he would make the play, but the ball got through him, and Mike Bright made the reception. Schwabe rolls far side. He'll throw to the far sideline, and a diving attempt by Jeff Colbeck, but he cannot make the catch along the far sideline at the 12-yard line.
That was almost a sensational reception by Colbeck. He stretched his body out, was diving toward the sideline, and the ball was not all that well thrown. Even though Schwabe has had some success in terms of throwing the ball, really it's been very erratic success. He's done it in spurts here. Had that ball been anywhere near, I think Colbeck would have caught that ball because he made a sensational effort to do so.
Coming up is the 12th play in this drive. So far, 6 plays in this series through the air, 5 on the ground. It's 2nd and 10 Tigers at the DeSoto 17-yard line. Schwabe will roll out far side, wants to throw again, heads for that far sideline. He'll keep the ball, crosses the 15, and is nailed around the 12, but he still gains about 5 yards on the keeper.
And he got that all on his own. He worked very, very hard to get it, made the most out of really not all that much.
Very reminiscent of his 23-yard touchdown run against Crivets on Saturday, which won that ball game, was the only score in that 7-0 Tiger win. The ball is on the 13-yard line. It is 3rd and 6. And the Tigers threatening that goal line once again. Here's an inside handoff to Dennis Dahl. He crosses the 10-yard line and is thrown down around the 8. An inside handoff to the wingman, Dennis Dahl. We have seen very little of that from the Tigers during postseason play, but that play gains about 5 yards, and now the Tigers must make a decision because they have a 4th and 1 at the DeSoto 8-yard line. And it appears the Tigers will go for it. In fact, a big, strong man, Gary Zilke, is in the ball game. Number 52, the nose tackle, and he might get the football in this situation. He'll line up in the offensive backfield.
And what about the possibility of a play-action fake here, too?
Well, let's see what the strategy is. It is Colbeck. No, it's Schwabe behind Zilke. He dives forward to near the 7-yard line, and this will be very close, but I'm not sure he got it. They brought in Zilke as the lead blocker. And it looked like the outside linebacker, Paul Cabot, came from behind to grab Schwabe and knock him down just inside the 8, and it does not look like he got it. No, the DeSoto defense holds with 2:02 remaining in the first half, and Stratford leading 6-0. And so a 14-play drive stalls out on the DeSoto 7-yard line.
Well, they did try to go outside, Gene, to get it, and the play looked a little bit on the funny side. I thought, in fact, when I first saw it, as if it might have been a busted play.
And DeSoto comes out in that wishbone attack once again. The handoff goes to Hammond, and he does not get to see the 10-yard line. Corey Hammond dropped by Dan Drexler and Gary Zilke just shy of the 10. Only about a 2-yard gain. Once again, DeSoto going without a huddle. 2nd and 8 for the Pirates at their own 10-yard line. 1:25 remaining in the first half. Stratford leads 6-0. Strasser gives the ball to Tully. He has a seam, crosses the 15, coughs up the ball again. It's loose around the 25-yard line. There's a scramble for it, and the Tigers have it back. Stratford with another fumble recovery inside the DeSoto 30-yard line, and once again, Darren Sirianni falls on it, his second fumble recovery of the afternoon.
Well, that's another turnover, and it couldn't happen in a tougher place as far as DeSoto is concerned after a good gain on the play.
The ball is on the DeSoto 28-yard line. Stratford has 1 timeout remaining. 1 minute remaining in the first half. Stratford leading 6-0, and Schwabe comes out throwing, rolls far side. He fires to the far sideline, and he hits Colbeck at the 25. He falls down shy of the 20-yard line, and there is a penalty flag down after the play.
Tell you what, that was a nice reception, Gene. He was going deep. He was looking for... He was looking downfield. I thought he had Mike Bright open near the goal line, but then there was a defender scrambling to get back. He didn't like the look of the angle, so he decided to go to his underneath receiver.
We have a clip against the Tigers. That is the call.
So that wipes out that play.
Colbeck had brought the ball down to the 21-yard line. Would have been a 7-yard pass reception. But instead, major yardage will be marked off against Stratford. We have 47 seconds remaining in the half, and that foul will be marked off from the spot of the infraction, the 21, so the ball goes back to the 36-yard line. It is still first down. It is first and about 19. The Tigers in a slot right. Schwabe to throw again. He looks deep over the middle. Downey is out there. The ball's intercepted at the 10-yard line. Back to the 25, the 30-yard line. And the interceptor is thrown out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And that is Ken Venner who makes the interception and returns it to the 35-yard line. We now have 30 seconds remaining in the first half. Stratford leading 6-0. We'll see how DeSoto plays this as they get the ball back on Stratford's first turnover of the afternoon.
Problem is, this isn't the right type of offense to go, 64 yards
in 30 seconds. But here is Strasser throwing for the first time. He'll throw it deep down the near sideline, way out of bounds. Beyond the DeSoto bench, in fact, the intended receiver, Paul Cabot, he was running out of bounds going after the football.
Yeah, no chance on that. He hung it up. I tell you what, once he put it up there, he's trying to go a deep out, and of course you have to hang the ball up there pretty well, and that ball went into a pretty tough wind. Now they have 2 timeouts remaining should they decide to use them. They've shuttled in another player with a play here.
Wide receivers on either side, 24 seconds left in the half. 2nd and 10 DeSoto on the 35-yard line. And Strasser back to pass again. He's being pursued by Drexler and sacked back around the 25. Dave Drexler and Mike Bright both got in there unblocked. It was just a question of who would get there first. And Drexler had the better lead time, and he grabs Strasser and throws him down at the 25 for a 10-yard loss. So now it's a 3rd and 20 for DeSoto. The Pirates have used one of those 2 remaining timeouts. 15 seconds remaining in the first half, and Stratford leads DeSoto 6-0. We'll return to Madison after this message. The DeSoto Pirates in a difficult situation now. They have a 3rd and 21 at their own 25-yard line. 15 seconds remaining in the first half. They trail Stratford 6-0 in this Division V championship game. And the DeSoto Pirates have a double slot formation. Slot formation on either side, only one setback behind the quarterback, Doug Strasser. And Strasser, of course, hands the ball off to Venner. He crosses the 30-yard line, gets about 6 yards. That play to occur. And now they're going to have the timeout. DeSoto calls a timeout, but they got a 4th down coming up here, folks. It's 4th and 13 now at the 32-yard line. So while DeSoto talks about this, let's take a break with 8 seconds remaining in the first half. Stratford leads DeSoto 6-0. We'll come back after this. Nice one. All right, another 30 here. We got 10 in now. 10 out of 34. Tigers.
We're really seeing quite a contrast, really, in terms of the two types of teams that we're seeing out here on this field today.
Coverage of Stratford Tiger football on WDLB, made possible in part by the Buccaneer Supper Club in Roselleville, where Bill Hazen and I have eaten, and that's a very great place to have dinner.
Delightful spot. Very much enjoyed my last visit up there for that.
And Stratford Homes in Stratford, Bill's Service Center, and Fairway Sales. Thanks to all those folks for helping us bring you Stratford Tiger football here on WDLB. Stratford will be kicking to DeSoto to start the third period, and DeSoto from left to right on offense once they get the football. Back deep for DeSoto, Dave Tully along the far sideline, and Corey Hammond to the near side. Darrell Schrader kicked off once with the wind in this ball game. That was after the Stratford touchdown. He kicked the ball through the end zone. Now, DeSoto has elected to take the ball and move against the wind here in the third period, so DeSoto will have the wind with them in the fourth quarter.
If they needed to go to the air, and of course their offense is not predominated or particularly keyed around the passing attack. We have the wind blowing the ball off the tee, and I think the official he's going to chase it down, and then the kicker will go ahead and spot it again. But now this last ball, Gene, that was kicked after the touchdown, bounced at the 2, and I think it was really misplayed by the DeSoto people. It could have been fielded. I kind of wonder a little bit, as those two receivers are standing back there near the goal line, what's running through their mind in terms of making sure they field this one properly.
Robin Kaiser will hold for Schrader. And here comes the kick to start the second half, with Stratford leading in this championship game 6-0. A low line drive down the center of the field. It will bounce to Tully at the 6-yard line. He comes to the near side, the 10-yard line, and he is met right there at the 12-yard line and manhandled by Dan Drexler, who was playing a whale of a game. In fact, Drexler just picked him up and threw him down right on the 12-yard line.
Oh, you were right about that. Manhandling is just the way to do it. He drove him down into the turf, and of course this is a very cold surface, and it is artificial turf, so I guarantee you his bones rattled on that.
Now DeSoto moving from left to right on offense from their wishbone attack. First and 10 at their own 12. The quarterback is Doug Strasser. He will give the ball to Dave Tully, who crosses the 15-yard line. He is met around the 18 once again by Dan Drexler and by Dennis Dahl. But Tully gains about 5, maybe 6 yards on that carry. Let's set that offense for you for DeSoto. The quarterback is Doug Strasser. The running backs in this wishbone, John Venner, Corey Hammond, and Dave Tully. Venner is the fullback. Tully and Hammond are small but very quick halfbacks. Ball's on the 19. It's 2nd and 3. Once again, Tully has a seam. He crosses the 20-yard line, met right there by Drexler, Zilke, Ollie Schmidt, and Mike Bright. But he has enough yardage for a first down at the DeSoto 22-yard line. We are early in the third period, and the Stratford Tigers lead this championship game 6-0, and the fans beginning to cheer because the sun is coming back out, and suddenly bright sunshine on this Camp Randall Stadium turf. First and 10, DeSoto at their own 22-yard line. Wishbone backfield behind quarterback Doug Strasser. He will roll far side, pitch back to Hammond. He's met in the backfield, dropped for a big loss. Big defensive play by Darren Sirianni, who has made his share of those today with his 2 fumble recoveries. That time the cornerback, Sirianni, read the pitch man on the wishbone, and he drops Hammond back at the 19-yard line. That play loses 3.
gave up an awful lot of depth on that, Gene, and that's probably the key. If you get caught back there, you're going to lose yardage.
It's 2nd and 13 for DeSoto at their own 19. Straight ahead, Venner on a dive. He gets away from a couple of tacklers, but Mike Bright will wrap him up at the original line of scrimmage. He gains about 3, and now DeSoto faced with a 3rd and 10. And remember, they are moving against a pretty strong wind, so that does not aid their passing game. They split Paul Cabot wide to the near side. He's a lonely guy out there because they don't throw the ball very often. 3rd and 10 for DeSoto. Doug Strasser, the quarterback. He wants to throw here. He fires for Cabot at the 30-yard line and throws the ball into the ground in front of him, incomplete. Just a quick little slant across the middle. Cabot trying to turn in underneath Jeff Downey, the cornerback along the near sideline, and Strasser, not used to throwing against this very strong wind, threw the ball into the turf.
Yeah, it was a look-in pattern, so-called. He was right out near the sideline. Problem was he was so far out it was a long throw, even though he was coming in.
And now a 4th and 10, and Bruce Meyer to kick from his 5-yard line. He heads one down the far sideline. It's taken there by Dennis Dahl at midfield, looking for running room. Has a wall set up if he can turn the corner. He does. He crosses the 45-yard line and spun out of bounds around the 42. That is a 28-yard kick against the wind by Meyer, and about a 7-yard return for Dennis Dahl, and the Stratford Tigers now have the field position advantage. It's 1st and 10 Tigers on the DeSoto 43-yard line. 9.5 remaining, 3rd period, and the Tigers lead DeSoto in the championship game 6-0.
This is an opportunistic offense, too. Don't be surprised if they go up and try to get one right here.
They might, especially with Schwabe throwing with that wind. The Tigers come out in a slot right, and a handoff straight ahead. Colbeck, he has big running room inside the 35-yard line. He gains about 10 straight ahead.
That's the type of running I was talking about, Gene, earlier. You can tell he was not having a particularly good day today. I think they're keying on him, DeSoto is. But on that run, he had showed tremendous power and good speed as well.
Looks like some trap blocking up front for the Tiger offensive line. Colbeck straight ahead for 10, and he has the first down for the Tigers at the DeSoto 33-yard line. Tigers trying to build on their 6-inning lead slot right formation, but a flag down as the play develops.
Well, we'll wait and see. There was some contact. Actually, they started to run the play, and then the whistle sounded, and so everybody just stopped after that.
And we have an illegal formation call, I believe, against Stratford. They may not have had 7 men on the line of scrimmage. Anyway, the ball will go back to the 38-yard line. It will be 1st and 15. Remember, the Tigers are going with the wind here in the 3rd quarter, within their passing game was very potent in the 2nd period when they had the wind with them. So the Tigers with a 1-touchdown lead may try to use the airwaves to expand that lead right here. It is 1st and 15 for Stratford at the DeSoto 38-yard line. John Schmidt right out on the near side. Sophomore basketball star. Here's a pitch to Dahl, trying to sweep the far side to the 35, down the sideline, cuts back at the 30, and lunges at the 27-yard line. There were 2 DeSoto ball players who could have wrapped up Dahl both behind the line of scrimmage and at the line, and they both missed, and consequently a nice gain for Dennis Dahl. He brings the ball to the 27-yard line, gains 11 on that carry.
They ran the short side of the field there, Gene. All the receivers were to the near side or the open side. They ran the short side, and they had considerable success with it.
It's now 2nd and 5 Tigers at the DeSoto 27. Here's an inside handoff to Kaiser, a gaping hole off tackle. He's inside the 30 of the 20-yard line and carries down to the 15. Boy, there was a huge hole along that far side. Great job by the guys on the right side. Dan Schmidt and Dan Drexler really did some great blocking. A huge hole for Kaiser. He brings the ball all the way down to the 15-yard line for another Tiger first down.
And right now, as Stratford comes up, they have nearly equaled their first half yardage on the ground here, just in this drive.
1st and 10 Tigers at the DeSoto 15-yard line. Schwabe will give the ball to Dennis Dahl, comes near side and carries for about 2, trying to get outside, but the DeSoto defense strung that play out very nicely. and Dahl only carries down to about the 13-yard line, a short gain.
Using a lot of misdirection down in here, Gene. That big opener, that last gain, considerable yardage there by Kaiser was a misdirection play. There, a little bit of a crossbuck. They're faking one way and coming back against the grain. They've done it 2 straight plays here.
Tigers threatening to add to their 6-0 lead with 7:50 remaining in the third period. It's 2nd and 8 Tigers at the DeSoto 13-yard line. Schwabe straight ahead to Kolbeck, and he's tripped up as he gets to the 10-yard line. John Venner, the middle linebacker, got a shoestring tackle on Kolbeck as Jeff went through the line, and Jeff went down just shy of the 10.
They were in the double tight end set that time, Gene, with just a wing back to the near side of the field. And now, with a, what are we looking at here? A 3rd down and 5. The ball is squarely in the center of the field. Let's see how that dictates what type of a formation they come out with here.
Remember, the Tigers had a drive stop by the DeSoto defense at the DeSoto 8-yard line in the second period. Here they got 2 downs to make 5. Here's a pitch to Dahl trying to sweep the far side. He's back to the 10-yard line, ran into his own man, and gets stopped around the 8. He had a lead blocker right in front of him. That was Mike Bright, and I think that Dahl actually ran over Mike Bright and went down around the 7-yard line.
Yes, he did. It seemed like he just caught him on his shoe. It was just one of those things. He was trying to cut it one way. Bright was laying a good block, and he couldn't see Dahl, of course. And then Dahl is reading that block, and he just caught his shoe top, and with that he was, about 2 yards, maybe a yard and a half, short 2 yards for a first down.
And now it's 4th and 2, and Darryl Schrader is on the sidelines. The Tigers will go for it. They will disdain the field goal once again. 4th and 2 Stratford at the DeSoto 7-yard line. Wing formation, straight ahead. Kolbeck, he bounces off a couple of tacklers, but he stopped shy of the first down. He's driven down at the 6-yard line, and the DeSoto defense holds once again.
Did a great job. That was the old sucker play. Tried to pitch the ball back, hoping that one of some of that defensive line would buy the fake, and then came right back with a draw, and they had it stopped this time. DeSoto did a great job stopping that play.
Once again, DeSoto makes the big defensive play, but they take over in very poor field position. 1st and 10 at their own 6-yard line. 6 minutes to play, third period. Stratford on top, 6-0. DeSoto from the wishbone. On first down, it's Dave Tully, who was hit hard at the 9 by Gary Zilke and dropped right there. Ian Drexler bent to Tully back at the 9-yard line. Not a real pleasant thought for Dave Tully as he got manhandled by those guys. 3-yard gain. It's now 2nd and 7 for DeSoto at their own 9. Paul Cabot lined up along the near sideline as a wide receiver. Wishbone formation, it's Zenner, the fullback, again across the 15-yard line. And he'll be close to a first down. He had a big hole on the right side, took advantage, and carried all the way out to the 17-yard line for an 8-yard gain.
I don't know if I've ever seen a wide receiver spread out any further than on that last play. He was barely in bounds, Gene. He was right on the chalk.
And he's along the near hash mark. Paul Cabot lining up as a wide receiver. We're going to measure this last gain by Zenner to see if, or by Venner, to see if DeSoto does have the first down. Very close. And it is a first down for the Pirates. 1st and 10 DeSoto at their own 17. 5:18 remaining, third period. Stratford still holds on to their 6-0 lead in this Division V championship game. Cabot, the wide receiver, right along the near sideline. He's picked up on defense by Jeff Downey. Those two guys are virtually out of the play. Wishbone formation for DeSoto. And the handoff to the fullback, Venner, straight ahead for short yardage. Mike White grabs him and dumps him around the 18, maybe 19-yard line. An assist to Paul Worrell, and they'll give Venner 2 yards to the 19-yard line, 2nd and 8. Once again, DeSoto without a huddle. They have not huddled offensively yet today. Not only is Cabot wide to the near side, but the tight end lines up on the near side as well. So it's really an unbalanced line. It's Venner, the fullback, again straight ahead, crosses the 20, gets short yardage again, not much more than 2 or 3. Runs into several Stratford ball players. Dan Schmidt, the principal tackler, Zilke and Worrell also on the stop. Ball is now on the 22-yard line. It is 3rd and 4 for DeSoto. Pirates out the ball deep in their own territory. They seem to be a bit confused. Again, they're going without a huddle. Tight end lines up on the far side now. Wishbone formation. Strasser will keep the ball on the option himself. He's hit by Schwabe and dives forward to around the 24-yard line, but he'll be 3 yards shy of the first down. And the linebacker, Jody Schwabe, made that play by cutting inside and drilling the quarterback Strasser before he could turn upfield.
You made a good point, too, Gene, and that every time they've come up to the line of scrimmage without that huddle, the quarterback's been barking, they've been changing plays, they've been trying to make sure there's communication. It seems like they've had a little trouble with that no huddle.
Here's the punt by Bruce Meyer from his 10. It's a ground ball down the center of the field, rolls by Dahl. It's shy of the 50-yard line and is down at the 47. The DeSoto ball player has tried to kick the ball across midfield to gain extra yardage, but the referee right there downs it at the 47, a 23-yard punt for Bruce Meyer. And once again, Stratford in great field position, 1st and 10 for the Tigers at the DeSoto 47-yard line. We have 3.5 remaining in the 3rd period of this Division V championship game, and Stratford on top by a score of 6-0.
And when we saw Stratford go to work last time, Gene, they started to go on the ground game, and it seemed as if they were making some room. They're going to have a twin set to the right or far side of the field now.
That's Mike Bright and Dennis Dahl out there. The quarterback, Jody Schwabe, he wants to throw. He fires over the middle. Dahl makes the catch at the 35-yard line. Can't get outside. He's dumped at the 31, but he will have a first down for the Tigers.
Mighty nice throw. They had a lot of receiving power in there, and it was all on that right side. Dahl went over the middle. He's a little slow getting up, but he's up and on his feet okay.
16-yard pass play between Schwabe and Dahl, and that combination has now clicked for 3 receptions today. 1st and 10 for the Tigers at the DeSoto 31-yard line with 3:07 remaining in the 3rd period, and the Tigers on top 6-0. Dennis Dahl is running off the field under his own power, and he gets a big hand from the Tiger fans on the far sideline. And a lot of Stratford fans are here to see this contest. And Todd Colbeck replaces Dahl in the Tiger lineup. He lines up as a wing on the far side. 2 tight ends for Stratford. Here's a handoff to Kaiser. Misdirection, and he has some running room. He charges down the 25-yard line. Picks up 5 or 6 on that carry.
Well, you see, and this is what happens. It opens everything up. You have a good pass. One game complements the other, and that's what this game is all about. And we're seeing now that it's a little difficult for DeSoto to figure out what's going on. Come with a pass play over the middle, bang. Come with a quick hitter off tackle. Now you have a few things going.
And Dennis Dahl back in the ball game. Todd Colbeck back on the sidelines. 2nd and 4 Tigers at the DeSoto 25-yard line. This time it's Colbeck off tackle for short yardage. He will be stopped shy of the first down. On the tackle for DeSoto is Larry Venner, one of the 8 or 9 Venners on this DeSoto ball club.
Yeah, we've seen them all today, too, I think. That time they had a Kaiser in motion to the far side, Gene, and then came back against the grain. We've seen a lot of running against the grain by both teams today, particularly Stratford, and I think they've made the most of this today.
Now the Tigers have a 3rd and 2 situation at the DeSoto 23. Todd Colbeck back in as a wing on the far side, 2 tight ends, and Schwabe fumbles the football. I believe Todd Colbeck falls on it. I think Jody wanted to go to Colbeck, Todd Colbeck, on that misdirection, that counter play to the wing, but he ran into Colbeck, and there was a DeSoto defender right there as well to force the collision, and consequently the ball fell loose. Colbeck fell on it back at the 27-yard line. Play loses 4 yards, and now the Tigers are faced with a 4th and 6. We'll see what they do. They may have to throw for it here. They'll send Bright and Dahl as a slot formation out to the far side, and Schwabe back to pass. He looks, fires over the middle, and the pass is intercepted by John Venner. He crosses the 30-yard line, fumbles the football along the far sideline. It rolls out of bounds, and I don't believe the Tigers have possession, and so the ball will stay in the hands of the DeSoto Pirates.
Boy, poor Dan Drexler for Stratford. He saw that ball fumbled loose. He went for it, and he batted it. He just couldn't get both hands on it, and so it was batted out of bounds. And subsequently, Stratford retains possession. Or excuse me, forgive me, not Stratford. DeSoto retains possession.
And each team now with 2 turnovers today. 1st and 10 for DeSoto on their own 42-yard line. 1 minute remaining, 3rd period, and Stratford on top, 6-0. Here's DeSoto in that wishbone formation again. The handoff to Dave Tully. He crosses the 45. Ran from behind by Ollie Schmidt and dropped shy of midfield.
Well, this is about as good a field position as DeSoto has had here, and then they start off with a good gain by Tully. What's it's worth about 5 yards there.
5.5. It's second down for DeSoto at their own 48-yard line as we close out the third period here at Camp Randall Stadium. Doug Strasser, the quarterback, and he'll pitch the ball back and pitch it wildly. The ball is loose inside the 35-yard line. Still loose, picked up by Dan Schmidt, and the Tigers have it back at the 30-yard line of DeSoto.
I'll tell you what, that ball was just pitched into the open field. The quarterback, Strasser, had all kinds of problems there. That's why they call the wishbone a high-risk offense. That's exactly what we're talking about. That pitch has to be made correctly.
And so another opportunistic play for the Tiger defense, their third fumble recovery of the day. First and 10, Stratford at the DeSoto 30 with only 15 seconds remaining in the third period. Schwabe will pitch to Dennis Dahl. He eludes two would-be tacklers, cuts back up the field, and carries for about 3 yards. There were two defenders charging on Dennis Dahl, and he just stopped and let these two guys run right by him, and then he proceeded on his way, gained about 3 yards. And with that play, we close out the third period here at Camp Randall Stadium. Our score, Stratford 6, DeSoto nothing, and we'll have fourth quarter action after this. Well, the Stratford Tigers now 12 minutes away from a Division V state championship, and they have the football at the DeSoto 27-yard line, second and 7, as we begin the fourth quarter. The Tigers lead DeSoto 6-0. Stratford will move against the wind here in the fourth period. The Tigers come out in a wing left formation. Jody Schwabe gives the ball to his fullback, Jeff Kolbach, who tries to hurdle a couple of tacklers and is pushed back at the 25-yard line.
I would imagine DeSoto right now will be saying, all right, we're going to play and look for the run, and if they can beat us with a great pass, fine, against this wind. But right now, defensively, I think DeSoto can really pack it in a little bit more, Gene, and especially on the quick outs, the outside passes toward the corner flag.
And their run defense has been mighty tough today.
It has.
Wing to the right, two tight ends on 3rd and 5 Tigers. At the DeSoto 25, we have flags down and somebody lined up offsides, and I believe the guilty man is in a DeSoto uniform. And that'll put the Tigers very close to a first down.
And it may, I don't know, there were two players over on the right side of that line that may have been a factor. I know James Robertson was lined up there, but it may have been Paul Cabot, a linebacker. He had come up and had set himself outside of the defensive end Robertson.
It is not enough for a first down, so the Tigers in a 3rd and inches just outside the DeSoto 20-yard line, and DeSoto really bunches up that defensive line. The handoff to Jeff Kolbach. He has the first down. He bursts into the secondary. We got a penalty flag down as Kolbach was tackled by the face mask. His face mask was grabbed by Corey Hammond, a defensive back, and so not only does Kolbach get the first down yardage to the 16-yard line, but more yardage will be marked off against the DeSoto Pirates. So the Tigers could have a first and goal inside the 10-yard line.
As it stands, that's the 9th first down for Stratford in this game, and they have mixed them up. They have a few more by rushing than they did early when they got most of their by passing, and now it's half the distance to the goal line over and above that.
And now here's a big offensive series for the Tigers. They lead 6-0 early in the fourth period, and they have a first and goal at the DeSoto 8-yard line. 3 times today, or twice today, Stratford has been turned away inside the DeSoto 10. Let's see how they do here. Here's a handoff to Jeff Kolbach, off tackle. He carries to the 6, and then 3 DeSoto defenders grab him and push him back.
Kolbach now with 14 carries for 43 yards. He's starting to get warmed up.
Coach Tom Knopf would like nothing more than for the Tigers to get the ball in the end zone one more time. Ball is now on the 6-yard line. It is second and goal. Once again, the Tigers going against a very strong wind, so the passing game will be very, very difficult here. Wing left formation, 2 tight ends. Schwabe straight ahead to Dennis Dahl. He fights his way inside the 5-yard line, gets down to about the 4, where he stood up by Ken Venner, the DeSoto free safety.
Yards are coming hard up the middle, Gene, but they are coming. That's the main thing. They are getting some positive yardage every time. But DeSoto is pretty rough. They may have to move outside a little bit. They've been running off a tight end set ever since they got down into that first and goal.
They're going with those quick hitters straight ahead. Hard to lose yardage on those plays, but again, DeSoto is really stacking up that interior, making it difficult for the Tigers to run. Two tight ends, wing right on 3rd and goal from the 4. It's Jeff Colbeck off tackle for 2 more, and he's then pushed back by defensive lineman Art Jamboyce. Colbeck gets down to about the 2-yard line with that carry, so here's a 4th and goal situation coming up for the Tigers. And remember, Stratford twice today has seen drives stall out inside the DeSoto 10-yard line. Let's see what they do here on 4th and goal from the DeSoto 2.
Well, they had gains of 2, 2, and 2. They get another 2, they're in the end zone.
Well, they're very close to it. Well, the Tigers may want to discuss this. I believe that Jody Schwabe is not happy with the play that came in. He says, I think I want the coach out here to talk about it. So the Tigers use their first timeout of the second half with 9:20 remaining in regulation. Stratford leads DeSoto 6-0 and will return after this. All right, the balance of this ball game might turn in this play right here. The Stratford Tigers come out with a 4th and goal at the DeSoto 2-yard line. Stratford leads 6-0 early in the 4th period, and the Tigers will attempt a field goal against the wind. Darryl Schrader will try a 20-yard field goal. Todd Colbeck to hold, again against the wind. Interior line movement, however, and a DeSoto player may have charged across the line of scrimmage. It appears that the ball may go to the 1-yard line, and then what kind of decision does Mr. Knopf make? We'll wait and see. He may have been drawn off. The officials are discussing it. It could go either way. And it looks like that yardage will be marked off against, well, no, I guess not. They were going to mark it off against the Tigers, but instead they walk with the ball to the Tiger captain and say, what do you want us to do?
He just wanted to see if he could confuse you a little bit, Gene.
It is going against DeSoto. Offside against DeSoto. Now the ball is at the 1. So let's see what Coach Knopf wants to do here. 4th and goal from the 1, and they are going for it again. This play may give the Tigers a 6-point lead. Tight formation. Schwabe straight ahead himself. He dives. He's in for the score. Jody Schwabe just got across that goal line, giving Stratford a 12-0 lead. The Stratford fans on the far sideline jumping up and down. They are on their feet as their Tigers now lead by 12 with 9:17 remaining. For the Tigers, a 7-play, 30-yard touchdown drive began after the fumble recovery by Dan Schmidt. And now Darryl Schrader will attempt the extra point. Todd Colbeck to hold at the 10-yard line. Kicking against the wind, and once again, a DeSoto ball player charges across the line of scrimmage. That's Larry Venner, who tried to take the outside angle and cut off that extra point attempt, and he was about 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and it may turn out that 1-yard penalty down at the goal line may prove to be the key to this entire ball game. I don't know if Stratford, of course, the way Stratford's defense is playing, it's all academic right now.
Well, they will still try to kick the extra point. Schrader kicking from the 9-yard line. Todd Colbeck holding. Ball goes down. The kick is up. And it is good. The kick is good. And so with 9:17 remaining in regulation, the Stratford Tigers now lead DeSoto 13-0, and we'll return to Madison following this message. All right, the Stratford Tigers now with a 13-0 lead. 9:17 remaining. DeSoto will now have the ball for the first time in the 4th quarter, operating with the wind. So still, anything could happen. Hold on to your seats. The kick by Darryl Schrader over the heads of the deep men for DeSoto, picked up by Tully at the 3-yard line. He comes charging out to the near sideline, has some running room, crosses the 20, and is stopped at the 25-yard line. There is a penalty flag down on the play at the 12. That is a 23-yard return by Dave Tully.
That was a heck of a kickoff. That's the best kickoff we've seen today, especially against the wind.
Against the wind, Schrader kicked the ball over the heads of the 2 deep men, Hammond and Tully. Tully had to catch the ball on the bounce around the 3-yard line, then reverse himself and head upfield. It looks like this penalty will go against DeSoto.
DeSoto's having an awful lot of rough traveling right now. This game has definitely not taken their flavor. On that touchdown run we saw last time by Schwabe, he just barely got into the end zone. He just, you said it precisely at the time you called it, Gene, that he just barely got in, and he was really tiptoeing that goal line. The ball didn't break the plane by more than a couple of inches.
It's a blocking below the waist call against DeSoto, moves them back to their own 6-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Pirates, and on first down, the quarterback Strasser keeps the ball and tries to move it through the left tackle hole and gains only about 3 yards before Greg Shanefoos and Dan Schmidt stop him around the 8 or 9 yard line. Well, now DeSoto needs 2 scores, and they start this series on their own 6-yard line, so they do have some problems. 2nd and 8 for DeSoto at their own 8. Wishbone formation. Again, they're going with the wind in this period, and the fullback Venner has some nice running room as he crosses the 15 with a straight ahead handoff. He's out to about the 16-yard line and mighty close to a first down.
Nice play. They have not put it up at all. They're going to continue to grind it out and try to do what works for them. I think they did. They did indeed get a first down. They're 8th of the game.
And with 8:23 remaining in regulation, Stratford leads this championship game 13-0. Cabot, the wide receiver on the near side, the tight end on the near side this time, wishbone formation. It's Venner again, the fullback, and he's stood up by 3 Tiger defenders.
There was any broken bones. There's just certain mandatory things that they do, and it's Strasser himself.
So Strasser will have to leave the ball game. He walks to the sidelines under his own power. That means in this very difficult situation, DeSoto will have a new quarterback, and it looks like it's the receiver, Paul Cabot, who will come in and play quarterback. 3rd and 9 for DeSoto at their own 17-yard line, and Cabot rolls near side. He fakes the pitch, keeps the ball himself, is hit by Drexler and dropped at the 20-yard line for a short gain. And that leaves DeSoto far shy of the first down. So things do not look pleasant right now for the DeSoto Pirates. If you're a DeSoto fan, there is a dark cloud over your head right now.
That's right, and since the clouds have pretty well bailed out of here now, you have to know that it's pretty much DeSoto's problem, because other than that, it's been Stratford's game.
Bruce Meyer to punt again, and he kicks one off the side of his foot to the near sideline. It will roll out of bounds inside the DeSoto 40-yard line. They'll mark it back at the 34. That's only a 14-yard punt. And once again, great field position for the Stratford Tigers. The same thing they used to beat Privets last Saturday. Great field position all day long is what has really carried them the last 3 periods of this contest.
Well, there's really no excuse for not getting a better punt than that. They have a strong wind at their back. He just plain old shanked it. And so this is a little gift. Now Stratford wants to make sure they're opportunistic and capitalize on it.
1st and 10 Tigers at the DeSoto 35-yard line. Schwabe gives the ball to Kaiser, but he is hit hard and dropped at the line of scrimmage. A tough one-on-one tackle by defensive lineman Jeff Collins.
And that looked like a busted play to me, Gene. They had a motion man, but he had just started in motion. Then they went ahead and ran the play, and I thought the quarterback and the running back Kaiser collided a little bit. It wasn't a very smooth play right from the snap.
Tigers now in a 2nd and 11 at the DeSoto 36, but more importantly to them, that clock is moving. 6:05 remaining in regulation. The Tigers leading 13-0. Slot formation. Once again, Jeff Colbeck gets the call on the handoff. Crosses the 35. He's back to about the original line of scrimmage, but no further.
Well, I'd be very surprised if they're not going to throw it any more than necessary anyway against the wind, but in addition, of course, the clock, which is the all-important factor. They have a 13-0 lead here, Stratford does, and 5:42 and counting away from a Division V state title.
That could be a big happy weekend for all the folks in Stratford. Tigers could be bringing that state championship back to the Merriwood Conference. We have a guy on the field. There's a guy just walking through the end zone like, say, is anybody doing anything out here important?
It's one of the game officials, ironically, Gene. When they open the doors here, you know, they hire a very large staff. They have to. I'm sure they're not using a big staff today, but one of the gentlemen was telling me before the game started that on game day, there are over 600 officials that are employed here, would you believe?
Boy.
A venerable army of people in order to open the doors of this stadium.
Well, the Tigers are going to use a timeout here to talk things over because they're in a 3rd and long. That is their second timeout of the second half. We have 5:31 remaining in regulation, and Stratford leads this championship game 13-0 over DeSoto. We'll come back after this message. Now Tiger coach Tom Knopf heading for the sidelines with a state championship in his grasp. You know, he used to coach against Bob Schultz of DeSoto. For one season, Coach Knopf was the head coach at Royal High School, and so they met on the gridiron because they're both members of the Ridge and Valley Conference, and DeSoto won that ball game 52-14, but Coach Knopf trying to make amends today. On 3rd and 10, Schwabe throws over the middle. Mike Bright makes the reception, then drops the ball. We'll see how the officials rule this one. He would be shy of a first down, and let's see what the referee wants to rule. Either incompletion or fumble, and that is the call. Fumble recovery by DeSoto. A completed pass to Bright, and then a fumble recovery by DeSoto at their 28-yard line, and so now both teams have coughed up the ball 3 times. And DeSoto will begin this series at their own 28-yard line with 5:16 remaining in regulation. And the Tigers leading this state championship game 13-0. A slot right formation. On first down, a pitch to Daly trying to sweep. He's met by Shane Foose and thrown out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. Well, Dave Tully is mighty quick, but Greg Shane Foose showed great speed as well, and he ran over there and grabbed that guy and threw him out of bounds at the 28.
Gene, they did what every good team should do against the wishbone. The old saying is, string it out, string it out. Have them run laterally and don't let them get turned upfield. And they read that perfectly. The defensive end stayed right where he should, so the play came to him.
And now a 2nd and 10 for DeSoto at their own 28-yard line. Wishbone formation for the Pirates. Receiver on the far side, and here is a reverse. Cabot has the football, but he's met in the backfield by 3 or 4 Tigers and dropped inside the 25-yard line. There's a play that was doomed from the start as the Tigers now starting to look for those trick plays. They saw Cabot coming around on the split end reverse, and several Tigers, led by noseman Gary Zilke, dropped Cabot back at the 23-yard line for a loss of 5.
And they don't look like a very confident football team right now. Even as they come up with a no-huddle, everybody's talking, looking around to see if they can just manage to get on the same page in the playbook.
Wide receivers on either side, and the fullback Venner straight ahead. He carries the ball to the 30-yard line and dropped there by Dan Drexler, far shy of the first down.
Good run.
DeSoto hates to give up the football in this situation. It was a good run by Venner. He gained 7 yards, but DeSoto's now in a 4th and 8, and we may see Bruce Meyer punt the ball away once again. With the wind, he got off a 14-yarder last time. Under 4 minutes to play. Dennis Dahl back to receive this kick, and here's a fake as the up man has the football. That is Venner coming to the near sideline, and he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. A short snap back to John Venner, and Ollie Schmidt and Mike Bright read the play, and they dropped Venner at the 25-yard line. The fake punt is not successful, and the Tigers in great field position once again.
You kind of knew they were going to try that, especially because time after all was running out. They had to move it. They were really down to the candle was burning. They were down to the end of it. They had to make something happen, and DeSoto did not fall for it.
And so the Stratford Tigers have the football at the DeSoto 25 with 3:35 remaining. Stratford leading 13-0. Dahl goes in motion. The handoff to Robin Kaiser looking for running room. When he's dropped in the backfield, he loses 2. One thing that Coach Tom Knopf has told us throughout the season, his backs are not very quick. They're a power type of running team, and so in situations where they need a quick runner to get outside, a guy, say, like Earl Miranda of Columbus High School, they like to have a guy like that because they like to make a decision to give the ball to a guy like that, but they're not been able to make that decision this year. 2nd and 12, and Jeff Kolbeck off tackle carries inside the 25-yard line, gains about 3.
You beat me to my favorite weapon, Gene. You're right, but this team has done it without the Miranda decision, and I give them a lot of credit for that. Of course, the rule right now is the thing that they're concerned about is, hey, I don't care if you gain me 10 or 11 yards, but you better not fumble that football, kid, because if you come back to that sideline and we don't have possession, forget it. It's a long ride back home.
It's 3rd and 10 for the Tigers at the DeSoto 25. Jeff Kolbeck gets the handoff, carries off tackle, and gets about 4 yards. He's taken down to the 21-yard line. And that clock on the move, 2:20 remaining in regulation. The Stratford Tigers may be on the verge of a state championship. There is a Tiger down, slow getting up. And that appears to be John Schmidt, who is kneeling on the turf. Yeah, you are on the 21-yard line, so the Tigers looking at 4th and 6 with 2:16 remaining. Stratford Tigers on the verge of a Division V state championship.
Well, this is going to be a lot of fun. You know, they always have a very nice pep assembly after one of these, and I would imagine that if you happen to fall on by Stratford High School coming up next week, you're going to be in for a mighty fun time.
Well, there's a big dinner at the Roselleville Ballroom Sunday night to honor the Stratford players, and they may be honoring the state champion Stratford Tigers. 4th and 6 Tigers at the DeSoto 21-yard line. Tigers want to run some time. They give the ball to Jeff Kolbeck. He cannot get outside. Cabot grabs him and drops him for a yard loss.
That was a nice play. They were keying on him, Gene. They knew that he was going to be the guy, and Cabot really shot through there with a good defensive charge. It shows us a little bit of the quality of the DeSoto team, because here's a situation where really their backs are to the wall, barring a very strange situation. 1:58 seconds. Stratford is going to be the state champion, and yet they are continuing to play very hard, and I think the guy who made the tackle now has his, once again, a problem with the...
They're taking his whole jersey off to get at that shoulder pad problem.
Yeah.
And they get that straightened out. Well, that is one of the interior linemen for DeSoto, Bart Johnson. And now DeSoto comes out 1st and 10 at their own 22 with a double slot formation. And the snap is hiked over the head of the shotgun quarterback, who grabs at the 5-yard line, throws to a receiver at the 10-yard line. This man's going down inside the 10-yard line, and the flag is down on the play anyway.
It was Bart Johnson, ironically, who lined up as a slot receiver, and the thing is, he's a lineman. I think that was like a tackle eligible, but what happened was when they adjusted his jersey, everybody had his eye on him, so when he lined up, Stratford immediately saw what was happening, and then, of course, the play just dissolved.
There is a flag down. The ball is back at the 9-yard line. This is a play that Coach Knopf knew about, where they have a tackle eligible, and Johnson is also not only a tackle, but also one of the backup quarterbacks. And we do have a flag, an illegal man downfield or an ineligible receiver call against DeSoto. So the official is trying to sort this one out. This could be real confusing.
Think about this, Gene. That is, if the play stands, they're going to go ahead. Stratford's going to go ahead and decline the penalty. The play stands. That's the first DeSoto completed pass.
How about that? It loses 13 yards.
Yeah.
Ball's back at the 9-yard line. It's 2nd and 23. Now they come out in a more conventional set with a wide receiver to the near side. Doug Strasser over center. 1:25 and counting remaining. Strasser will give the ball to Venner, his fullback, straight ahead for about 4 yards. And the Tiger fans along the far sidelines, all standing, all anticipating a state championship for the Stratford Tigers.
Well, this is as much as conceding defeat here. Timeout is going to be taken by DeSoto. They have 2 left.
No, there's a Stratford ball player down. I think the officials took this timeout. We can't see him because he's in front of the Stratford huddle. That's Ollie Schmidt, slow getting up. He is on one knee, and the medical staff out to attend to Ollie.
I thought they had...
Oh, you would normally, in this situation, yeah, you'd think that DeSoto would take a timeout.
I thought they, as a matter of fact, I thought the official had pointed at DeSoto, but maybe I was wrong about that. Actually, probably this is a little bit of benefit to DeSoto, because at least they can go ahead and get ready to run their play.
Ollie Schmidt is up and trotting off the field under his own power. Gets a nice hand from the Stratford fans. 3rd and 19 for DeSoto. at their own 13-yard line. A slot right formation for the Pirates. Only 2 setbacks behind Strasser. And Strasser will roll near side on the option, keep the ball himself, and Jody Schwabe tackles him at the 14-yard line. That play gains 1. Well, it's now or never for DeSoto. 4th and 18 at their own 14-yard line, and the clock moving less than 40 seconds to play.
I would say there's going to be a banner hoisted.
Well, there could be. I'm sure the Tigers right now are looking for any trick play ever devised in the history of football.
They need a 14-point play.
And the clock is moving, 23 seconds remaining in regulation. Strasser will hand the ball off to Venner. He's tackled at the 20-yard line by Schwabe, and that should about do it. Far short of the first down, the Tigers take over with 15 seconds remaining. The Stratford fans are all on their feet cheering as the Tiger offense comes on the field one last time, but I'm not sure they'll even have to run a play. The Tiger ball players are all hugging each other in their huddle. Still, the clock has not started. 15 seconds remaining. Boy, there is a lot of celebrating going on along that far sideline as the Stratford fans are starting to rush down towards the bottom rows like they may want to rush their Tiger heroes when this ball game finally ends. I'm not sure that the Camp Randall folks will allow that, but there will be a lot of celebrating when this one ends. Players from Eagle River and Milton, who will play in the Division III ball game this afternoon, they're along the far sidelines watching.
Gene, just for the record, DeSoto on the ground was held this half by that tough Stratford defense to a little over 30 yards on the ground. That's the story.
And here come the Tigers up to snap the ball one last time in this state championship season. 15 seconds remaining, and Schwabe straight ahead crosses the 20-yard line, and that'll about wrap it up. The clock is moving, the Tiger fans counting it down. 3 seconds left, and the Stratford Tigers are state champions for 1986. The entire Stratford Ball Club runs out onto the field, the center of the playing surface here at Camp Randall Stadium. They congratulate each other, and now they quickly turn to shake hands and congratulate the DeSoto Pirates, the state runner-ups for 1986. Coach Tom Knopf meets Coach Bob Schultz at the sidelines, and they exchange greetings. Once again, these two men met about 10 years ago in Tom Knopf's first year as a head coach back at Royal High School. And on that afternoon, that evening, Coach Schultz had the better of it, defeating Coach Knopf 52-14. But today, Tom Knopf has had the better ball club, and his team wins the state championship, defeating DeSoto 13-0. We have a lot of scoring highlights, a lot of statistics to cover, so stay with us. Once again, our final score in this state championship game: Stratford 13, DeSoto 0. We'll have a complete recap on our post-game show, so stay tuned.